Hey everyone, it is Decades Week this week at karate. So that means you can pick a decade and dress like you lived in that decade. So I'm wearing some tie-dye, some bright colors. So bring whatever you want to this decade week. Let's start with our student creed. Feet together, hands by your side. I'm a dedicated martial artist. Student creed begin. Hey-ya. I must develop myself in a positive manner and avoid anything that could reduce my mental growth or physical health. Number 2, I must develop self-discipline in order to bring out the best in myself and others. Number 3, I must use common sense before self-defense and never be abusive or offensive. Number 4, winners never quit. Quitters never win. I choose to be a winner. Number 5, this is a black belt school. We are dedicated. We are motivated. We are on a quest to be our best. So, ready, set, courtesy. The star word this month is kindness. Say that, say kindness. In this week, in particular, we're talking about random acts of kindness. So that is doing something spontaneously nice for someone else. And you never know, that might start a chain reaction. And that person might do something kind that you did something kind for. And we'll build a kinder community all together. For your star sheet, which it's stripe test next week, so start working on that if you haven't. But you'll be required to do 10 random acts of kindness and fill it out on the star sheet. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to pause the video if you have to, get your adults, and talk about some things that you could possibly do that are random acts of kindness, or talk about things you've done already. Have that conversation, make a game plan for how you're gonna show kindness in the community. I know that makes it a little less random, but if there's things that we do every day habitually, that's also great because that means we're integrating kindness into our everyday lives. And that's part of being a black belt too. So pause the video, get your adult. You'll have about 2.5 minutes to talk. And if you don't have an adult that can have a conversation with you right now, you can just close your eyes and reflect on those things of what you can do for your 10 random acts of kindness. right, so our other word we're working on this month is power. Say that, say power. And remember, there's 3 principles of power: rotation, backup mass, and this week we're working on anchoring. In video A, we talked about how an anchor is something that a boat throws over to keep it in place. So it kind of starts up here, comes down straight, and has a J on both sides. It's really heavy. It might have a T in the middle, but that's what an anchor is. And if you don't know what an anchor is, I definitely recommend you ask an adult to look up a picture so you can see what that looks like. But anyways, in video A, we talked about how we need to anchor ourselves to the ground. In our stances, keeping our feet on the ground. And in our kicks, keeping that back leg that's not doing the kicking on the ground. In this video, we're going to talk about how we can anchor our target or our opponent. So, what that's going to look like is teaching you how to throw an elbow. So you're going to get your guard stance. Your backhand's going to throw an elbow. So do this with me. We're going to go from our guard stance to our front stance like we did last week, so we can still work on anchoring ourselves. So remember, when we do that, I'm just going to move this foot so you can see this foot. We come up on our heel, our toes are in the air, then we turn them to face the front, and we plant it back down. So we go from our guard stance to our front stance by doing that move and rotating our hips. That's our punch. But instead of throwing a punch, we're going to do that and throw an elbow. So instead of throwing our punch out, our elbow comes across. All right, so let's do that 3 times on this side. Ready? Guard stance. 1, elbow. Don't forget to anchor that back foot. 2, elbow. And back. Last one on this side. 3, elbow. And back. Switch your stance. Same thing on this side. Ready? Guard stance. 1, elbow. And back. 2, elbow. And back. Last one. 3, elbow. And back. So now we're going to figure out how to anchor our opponent. So we just anchored our bodies. How do we anchor our opponent or our target? I'm going to pull a heavy bag this way. You don't need a heavy bag. I'm just going to show you on a heavy bag really quick. So what we just did was this. We went from our guard stance to our front stance and elbow. What we're going to talk about is how to anchor our opponent, which would be this other hand that's free, grabs the target and helps bring the target towards the hand. It holds it in place. The impact of that, if I was able to measure the impact of this versus this, there would be significantly more impact when I'm able to anchor the target by holding it. All right, and if it was a bad person or someone trying to harm us, same thing, we can grab them by the head, the shoulder, anything we can to keep them in place and move them. Another great example to anchoring an opponent, I'm going to move you so you can see my wall. I'm going to have to step on my yoga mat. But if you can push, if an opponent is up against the wall, so say like they're attacking you close and you're close to a wall, if you can move and have them be close to the wall's going to anchor them. They have nowhere to go when you have the impact of the punch. All right, so again, hopefully you're never in these situations where you would need this, but in case you are, now you know. So we're going to practice those elbows again, but this time we're going to throw our front hand out like we're holding a target, and then we're going to bring our elbow and the target together for that impact. All right, so let's do that. Guard stance, yeah. Ready? So we can start by throwing that hand out, pretending like we're grabbing something. And then elbow, go. Good. Throw that hand out. Elbow, go. And back. Last one, throw the hand out. Elbow, go. Good, and switch your feet. Same thing, throw that hand out, grab that target. Elbow, go. And let's do it again. Go. Last one, grab that target, anchor them down, and elbow. Good, and time. All right, so now we're gonna practice that drill. So pause the video if you have to get an adult, and adults, bring something soft for your student to hit. What's gonna happen is adults are gonna hold the pillow out like this in front. Students, what you're gonna do is you're in front of the pillow, you're grabbing the pillow with one hand, and the other hand you're bringing that elbow in. So the adults are holding it so that you can then grab an elbow. You're not ripping it out of the adult's hand though, they're holding it there like a target. And make sure, students, that you're switching every time. So you can either do one elbow, then do the other, and keep going back and forth. Or maybe you throw 5 elbows on one side, and then you throw 5 more elbows on the other side, and keep going back and forth. But you'll have about 2.5 minutes to practice anchoring with that elbow with the help of your adult. If you don't have an adult to help you, I want you to do the same thing by practicing in the air. And that's okay that you don't have a target to hit, because it's a great opportunity to really practice that visualization of an opponent that's not actually there, which is a black belt level skill for sure. All right, so get to practicing.
No matter how hard I try, you keep pushing me aside, and I can't break through. There's no talking to you. It's so sad that you're leaving. It takes time to believe it. But after all is said and done, you're gonna be the lonely one. Oh, do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough. No, do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough. No, what am I supposed to do? Sit around and wait for you? Well, I can't do that. And there's no turning back. I need time to move on. I need love to feel strong. 'Cause I've had time to think it through. And maybe I'm too good for you. Oh, do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, really don't think you're strong enough. No, do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough. No.
All right, so now we're adding that principle of anchoring our opponent into our self-defense. So I'm gonna throw a little wrench at you here. So our self-defense is hidden sword. We put our hands up. Let's just go through it once together. Just a quick review. So we take a baby step forward, we hide our sword, we turn and strike their hands out of the way with a knife hand. Our stance is nice and low to the ground. If you watch video A, we went into a lot of depth on that. We throw a punch, again, our feet stay grounded. We kick, our back leg stays grounded. And then we cover out. We step in front, we step out, we step around, keeping our eyes on that target. So now I'm just gonna say go, let's go through that whole thing, and then I'll add the anchoring the opponent part. Hands up, I don't want any trouble. Go. Aya, aya, aya. 1 step, 2 step. Aya. All right, so that's that self-defense. Now this is not a part of the self-defense that you need to know and get tested on. This is just showing you a way that you could use for anchoring. So we do our self-defense. Hands up, I don't want any trouble. Do this along with me. Baby step, hide the sword. We turn, we strike. Now let's imagine after we strike, we grab our opponent's head. And then we do what we did in the beginning of class, we elbow. And then finish off with that kick in our 1 step, whoop, 2 step, step around. Sorry, I have something floating around on the ground here, I got distracted. But the main part is, instead of throwing a punch, you're grabbing the opponent, anchoring them, and striking. So this time I'm gonna say go, you're gonna go all the way through. We're gonna do it together with that anchoring of grabbing and elbowing, and then you'll have some time to practice on your own. All right? Hands up. I don't want any trouble. Go. Baby step, hidden sword, strike, grab, elbow, front kick, cover out. 1 step, 2 step, yeah. And time. So now you have about 2.5 minutes. I want you to practice the self-defense, but use that anchoring technique. So after you strike, add in that grab and that elbow. And I really want you to take time to visualize. Imagine that someone is actually attacking you, because that's gonna make practicing this anchoring easier. And that's also a really high level black belt thing to do. So if you're practicing visualizing your opponent now, by the time you get to red belt, you'll be like beyond ready to get invited for testing. All right, so I know it's a challenge. Are you up for the challenge? Say, bring on the challenge! And get practicing.
You and I can't both get jobs. Finally see you, it means to be living. You and I can't both get jobs. Maybe together we can get somewhere. You and I get somewhere. You got a fast car. I wanna take it to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Started from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a fast car. I got a plan to get us out of here. I've been working in a convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living. You and I can both get jobs. Maybe together we can get somewhere. You and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living. You and I can both get jobs. Maybe together we can get somewhere. You and I get somewhere. You got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? We gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. Won't have to drive too far. Cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living.
All right, so we're working on forms now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna review Action Karate Form 3 Part B, that whole part, but we're gonna talk about the places where we are anchoring. All right, so, and then you'll have some time to practice, and practice so you have it down for stripe test next week, but also think about adding not only anchoring in, but all of the power principles we've been working on this whole month. So feet together, hands by your side. Action Karate Form 3 Part B. Remember, we start with a cup and saucer with our feet together. Real quick before I go any further, if you want really foundational, like you don't remember what the moves are or you need further details, definitely go back and watch video A. All right, because it really breaks all of this down. In this, we are gonna go over the moves, but I'm more so focusing on the power principles now, okay? So we're in our cup and saucer. Move number 1, we're gonna step out into a horse stance and back fist. Again, it's important that both of our feet are on the floor, our heels included. And we're gonna take our back leg, we're gonna take a big step forward, and then again, settle into our stance, because if we just step forward and punch, we're like halfway anchored to the ground. So when we step forward and we settle into our stance, now we're really anchored in. Same thing with this descending back fist. We're gonna take our left leg and move it up behind, make an X. To settle our stance and anchor, we're gonna drop our weight. That's adding that backup mass in. We're gonna unspin, same thing, we could stop here, or we could settle nice into our stance. And then as you know from our review of how to anchor with a punch before, we're gonna come up on that heel on our back foot, turn and punch. And lastly, for that roundhouse kick, we turn our front toes. That foot needs to stay on the floor as we bring up in roundhouse kick. And then set, victory, humility, courtesy, man. So that was our review, and that's all I'm going to do for review right now, because I want you to have a little more time on your own to practice. One, to make sure you're ready for stripe test, and two, really apply those power principles. A lot of the, especially anchoring and backup mass, but rotation to a certain extent, is very dependent on your body. You know your body best and how it moves to have all of those elements coming together to have the most power. All right, so you're focusing on anchoring, which is really settling into those stances of your form, keeping your foot on the floor when you kick, and you'll have about 3 minutes to practice that.
Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like I'll take you. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. I hear your voice. It's like an angel sighing. I have no choice. I hear your voice. Feels like flying. I close my eyes. Oh God, I think I'm falling out of the sky. I close my eyes. Heaven help me. I'll take you. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there.
Let's end class with our principles of being a black belt. So feet together, hands by your side. I'm a dedicated student of the martial arts, and I live by the principles of being a black belt. And they are integrity, concentration, perseverance, respect and obedience, self-control, humility, indomitable spirit, knowledge, power, black belt, courtesy. Give yourself a hand. Excellent job today.